What is up, everybody? Trey Griggs here, Beta Consulting Group, and you are here for episode 181 of Standing Out, a daily podcast about sales, marketing, and leadership. Shout out to our friends House of Pain over there for Jump Around. Love that song. Throwback to the 90s for all of you who are my age or a little older. You might remember that one. And we got a great show today. Super excited. We've had an awesome week of shows, actually. If you have not caught some of the shows this week, you can catch them on demand anywhere you find your podcast, whether it be Apple Podcasts or wherever, as well as on our YouTube channel, which we're going to put into the comments today. You can check that out, subscribe to our channel, and catch every episode. Great conversation with Lance Healy on Monday. Hunter, y'all, awesome dude yesterday, on Tuesday. Great show talking about what he's doing for carrier compliance. Yesterday, my friend Kevin Huang, he's an upcoming social media influencer in transportation, had the faux hawk going. So we're going to put a pull out about that. That was fun. Rebekah's coming on today, and then tomorrow, my good friend and the athletic director at a young age of like 38 possibly. I don't know how old he is, but he's younger than me. He's the athletic director at my alma mater at William Jewell College. So we're going to have him on tomorrow, talk about leadership and what he's doing there. So it's going to be really cool. Shout out TJ Knutson. Thanks for being on the call today. Great to have you on the show. Appreciate that. Also, if you're in the comments today, tell us where you're coming from. Watching the show today, we appreciate having you in the show. Shout out to my friends over at Navix for hooking me up with this awesome polo, or this pullover. It's a quarter zip, and they're doing some good stuff. So check them out at navix.io. My good friend Eric Kruger and the guys over there, Josh Crow, so many great people over there. So appreciate it. It's nice and comfy. Super great. If you've got some cool swag that you want me to wear on the show, just send it. I'll wear it. I'll wear anything, folks. That's how it works around here. But I do want to give a shout out to my sponsor, to TAF. So the good guys in freight factoring. They are helping owner operators and carriers keep those wheels turning with discounts on fuel, tires, cash flow resources, as well as a lot of other resources like insurance and dispatch services and other things like that. So make sure you reach out to them at tafs.com, especially if you're behind the wheel of a truck. And if you are behind the wheel of a truck, thank you so much. We appreciate you for what you're doing. You're the hero in the supply chain, and we appreciate all your sacrifices that you make to keep this industry going. So make sure you reach out to TAFs, get started with them, tell them that Trey sent you, or even easier, click on the link that Ruth is going to put into the comments today. It takes you right to my landing page so they know that I sent you. And I got to get credit for this, folks. That's how it works out. Hayden, what's up, man? Just Blue is ALC. Oh, yeah. It's tough, man. You got to be careful when you're jumping around, especially as you get older, my friend, as you are. And we just did the Tough Mudder. You got to be careful, all right? Coming from Fort Wayne, Indiana, Dedicated Trucking. Thanks for being on the show today. Appreciate that. Also, folks, while you're out surfing the web, please check us out at betaconsultinggroup.com. And don't get too familiar with the website because it's about to change. Super excited, launching a new website come December 1st. That's going to be our new storefront. So super excited about that. But while you're on the website, make sure you fill out a form if you are looking to move out of the realm of obscurity to becoming a well-known and trusted brand in order to grow revenue. We'd love to work with you. So fill out a form and we'll reach out to you soon. And while you're there, you might as well pick up some swag. Let me remind you that coupon code, it's THANKFUL, because we are in Thanksgiving season. All caps, THANKFUL, get 20% off of your entire order. And when your swag arrives, when you're standing out stuff, your coffee mugs and water bottles, t-shirts, all that good stuff, when it arrives, make sure you take a picture with it and send it to us. We'd love to show it off. It's all about creating community of people who are pursuing excellence every day. How do you create community? Well, you get them dressed alike. That's one way to do it. So we'd love for you to support the show, and we appreciate that. Make sure you use that coupon code and send us a picture when it shows up. All right, everybody, time to get the show on the road today. We got a lot of people in the comments, super excited. Got a great guest today. She has so much experience in the industry and has taken a huge risk as entrepreneurs do at times. She's got that entrepreneurial vein. We're going to talk about that today and what she's doing over at New Legend Logistics. So please welcome to the show my good friend, Rebekah Sotzing. Rebekah.
Oh, nailed the last name.
I did. I was working on that. I was really focused on that, and I was thinking saucy, Sotzing. It's just little tricks like that. That's what it takes. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm great.
It is so great having you on the show today. Thanks for being a part. Take 30 seconds real quick for those who may not know who you are, and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing over at New Legend Logistics.
Yeah. So Rebekah Sotzing at New Legend Logistics started this brokerage division of our large asset carrier, New Legend, about a year ago. You want me to go into my experience? Or
absolutely, if you want to give us a little background. Absolutely.
Yeah, real quick. So from Montana originally, went to school out at Montana Tech.
Beautiful.
Got a
Montana.
Business. Yeah.
We're going to talk more about that later.
Management. What's that?
We're going to talk about that a little bit more later. Keep going.
Okay. Got a degree in business management. Let's see. So shortly after I graduated, moved back to my hometown of Whitefish, Montana, and was trying to figure out my next move. No idea what I wanted to do with my life, as a
Kind of
lot of
like the
people
rest of
are.
us ended up in transportation.
Still trying to figure it out.
Yes.
But I had a friend that I played volleyball at Montana Tech with who got a job in Whitefish at a company called C.H. Robinson. We had a small office there. So got a job there. 6 months in, still didn't know what I was doing. Had no idea what logistics or freight brokerage was. I think, back in those days too, the training wasn't as great as it probably is now. I think we went to Minnesota for 3 days and did a crash course on our TMS. And then they put me back in a desk with 2 phones and said, figure it out. So, 6 months in, I remember thinking back and I was like, people would ask, what am I doing for my job? And I was like, I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't really know what I'm doing. So fast forward, I jumped into logistics at C.H. Robinson. At that time, they didn't really have the role specialization as much as they do now. And so you kind of were in a lot of different roles at the time, which was really great. So I was in carrier sales for a little bit. I did account management. At one point, I was managing all our LTL for the office. So I did that for 2 years and then had an opportunity to transfer to LA, where C.H. Robinson had started their consolidation service line. And so I jumped into that for 2 years, learned a lot about the consolidation world, helped them build that up, and then transferred with them again to an Orange County office where I stayed for another, I think, 6 or 7 years in account management. And then, shortly after that, I went to an asset-based trucking company in Oklahoma, and was doing outside sales. That's something I hadn't done before, and I knew wanted to kind of get a shot at that side of the business, and sharpen my outside sales skills. And COVID hit about 7 months into that job, and so I got let go. And I'll say, with all those layoffs happening right now, it's not the end of the world. It was, leaving Robinson, starting my career there, best thing that I could have done for my career. But leaving was hard, but the best thing I could have ever done. So it's not the end of the world to all those people who are getting laid off right now. There's so much opportunity to use the skills that you've gained at these big companies, to some of the smaller, companies. Can really use those expertise and that knowledge.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a lot about how you pursue those, right? I mean, that could be the best thing that ever happens to them. And they just don't realize it
absolutely.
yet. That happens
Yeah.
quite a bit. So you did that, and then how did you get connected with New Legend?
So I got laid off. I'm a pretty resilient person, and I think I dwelled on the layoff for about 2 minutes, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus. I have 2 young kids, and I want to focus on them, for now. And it was, mid, shutdowns. My kid was going into kindergarten, so he needed, a lot of help with online schooling. And so I took it as an opportunity to spend more time with my kids. But it didn't last very long. I meant to, go a few months with just hanging out with the kids, and then New Legend reached out and was looking for a very similar, role, outside sales, on the West Coast. I could work from home and be with my kids still, so it made sense. So I was doing outside sales for them for about a year when I started talking to the owner a little bit more about, why don't you have a brokerage division? I mean, you're a huge asset carrier. Most of these big assets, have a brokerage division of some size. And, he said, I dabbled in it a little bit, didn't really work out. He's like, well, if you want to take it on, you have the experience, why don't you go for it? And I was like, let's do it.
Let's do it. That's right. Yeah. And the truth is, because I've seen this happen a lot, when you are really focused on the asset side of the company and you understand that business and that language, brokerage is a whole different language. I mean, it's like learning something completely new, a different mindset, a different approach. It's very hard for asset companies to start a brokerage unless they bring someone in who just knows brokerage like yourself. And so kudos to your, to your owner for making that decision, because I think that's the right way to do it. It tends to work out a lot better when that happens. All right. So I got to go back for a minute before we jump into logistics. I have to ask you about a couple of things. So first of all, Montana, you're from Montana. You spend a lot of time up there. Are you a Yellowstone fan, and are you excited for season 5 coming out on Sunday?
I am. I'm a big Yellowstone fan. I will say that it's not as accurate, probably. Not that I
Oh,
grew up on
sure,
a ranch,
of course. Yeah,
but
none of
one
those
of my
are
best
accurate.
friends is on a ranch. Her husband owns a ranch in North Dakota, and she's just like, "Oh my gosh, they're so," but they have to dramatize it, right?
Exactly.
But no, huge fan of that show, and very excited about another season.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. Have you seen 1883? Have you watched that yet? The
I
10 episode?
did.
Very
Yep,
good. Yeah. So a lot of good
very
stuff there.
good.
So Montana's beautiful. John said he's been to Whitefish. It's absolutely amazing up there. I've been through Montana several times. In fact, last summer we were supposed to go to Glacier National Park. We didn't make it because of RV situation, but we're going to get up there and it's amazing up there. And watching Yellowstone just makes me want to get on a horse and ride around the countryside. So that's awesome.
Fun fact: I'm from
Let's
Montana,
hear it.
born and raised. Never been on a horse.
Really? I mean, I guess, not everybody from Montana has been on a horse, but that's kind of like people in Alaska not being in a bush pilot. I mean, everybody out there is a bush pilot in Alaska. So that's kind of interesting. That's a fun fact. I've never had a cup of coffee. That doesn't really match, but that's a fun
Oh,
fact for me. Never, not one.
fun fact.
I did have a couple drinks of a pumpkin spice latte on Matthew Leffler's show a couple weeks ago. That was brutal. So not going to do that again. Okay. One more question before we jump into logistics. So you were a volleyball player. All right.
Yeah.
Were you a setter? Were you a hitter? I don't know how tall you are. I can't tell virtually,
Not very tall. I'm about 5'5". I'll call it 5'6".
Okay. So
So
more of a
so I
setter.
played. Yeah. So in high school, I was outside hitter. But I went to college and got a scholarship for defensive. And then libero is what they call it, back row specialist.
Yep, digging and setting. Yeah,
Yep.
digging primarily. Yeah.
Digging. Yep.
Yeah, very cool. That's awesome. College sports is great. I mean, I'm sure you learned a ton during that experience in college sports with coaches and with dedication, with hard work and all that. What's maybe the one lesson that you learned in college volleyball that you've kind of carried with you?
It's a bit, I always grew up in team sports, and so I would find myself always kind of in a leadership role throughout my athletic career, because I think I worked really hard. I worked hard, and I had athletic ability, but I always wanted to be the first at everything. So just that work ethic, and striving to be one of the better players out there, is what I always kind of tried to achieve there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, talent is important and will get you a certain distance, but you have to put in the hard work. One of my favorite quotes all time, Tim Tebow says that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And I love that quote because I think there's a lot of truth in that. TJ, listen, coffee is for closers, but listen, I'm not a coffee guy, so maybe it's not, exclusive.
TJ.
All right, maybe it's not exclusive. TJ's got to ruffle some feathers. All right, so Graham wants to know, what job have you not done in transportation? What role have you not had? Have you been a diesel tech at any point? Have you done maintenance?
Probably a lot. I mean, I've definitely spent most of my time on the domestic side. So the international side is definitely not my expertise. So it's something that probably down the line I might bring some international expertise into New Legend Logistics at some point. But
Yeah. I mean, and it's nice. I think it's nice when you get that experience. Like you said, you wanted to try the sales side and learn the sales skills and try those. And every step along the way, looking back, you can probably say that has helped me really excel in this position because I've done that before. I've done this before and all that. And so talk a little bit about the value of being a generalist when you're starting something new like a brokerage versus really just being a specialist.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I didn't know how much I knew until I started New Legend Logistics. And it's scary. It was like, the owner trusted in me to take this thing on. And we both kind of were like, it might work, it might not work. Let's just kind of like go for it and see. And he really trusted me to just take it on and make all these really big decisions that were a lot of firsts for me. I didn't know, I had never hired or fired people. I had never opened an office. I've never had to put together the processes from scratch or implement technology to help support our business. Like all of these things were firsts for me. And it's, one thing I knew taking this on was that I was going to learn so much through the process. Whether I failed or succeeded, the success for me was just the learning process. And that's definitely been what it's been this last year. It's definitely been the most challenging year of my life, but also the most rewarding.
Yeah. I think there's something to that when you talked about you didn't realize how much you knew. Whenever you start something new, whenever you put yourself into an uncomfortable situation, I think it does two things for you. It reinforces what you actually know, and maybe you didn't know it because you never had to communicate it or you never had to really process it or teach somebody else that skill. And you go, wow, I actually know that, and that to me, that's reaffirming and it's confirming in many ways and encouraging. But then there's that flip side of, man, I've never done this before. How do I do this? How do I figure it out? For me, it was accounting. Like, in business, I'm not a money person. I'm more of an ideas guy and, in the trenches doing the work kind of guy. The financing, accounting, oh, it's been terrible, but I've had to learn that. And so I think those are the two things that have happened, but it really enriches your experience. It enriches, your opportunity. Talk about how much you're valuing that now. I mean, you've got a long career ahead of you. You got a long ways to go. I can only imagine that in the back of your mind, you're thinking, wow, in 20 years, this is going to really pay off, if not sooner, of course, but certainly down the road. This experience is going to be really valuable.
Yeah, and again, I'm not married to anything, right? I am very quick to, if things don't work out, I'm going to move on to the next thing. And so obviously I've put everything into this last year, and I do see 2023 being a monster year for us, even with the current market. I just feel like things are really going in the right direction finally. I think I mentioned to you that I didn't have a solid sales team up until about 2 months ago. So I was pretty much on my own bringing in business for our entire office. And so, we got that kind of rolling, and we're seeing a lot of opportunities. So 2023 is looking really good. Sorry, what was your question? I don't even remember your question.
No, I was just talking about how this experience is going to really impact you down the road. That, I mean, it's hard and you're learning a lot, but it's going to pay huge dividends, not only right now and for the next 5 to 10 years, but 20 years from now, you're going to look back and go, that was pivotal that I took on that role. And I put myself in a position where I didn't know everything and I had to learn and all those kind of things. I just think it's really valuable.
Well, that's one thing when I look back at leaving C.H. Robinson is one of the reasons I left was that I wanted to take my almost 13 years of experience and be able to make a difference in something, right? Really make a difference somewhere, wherever I was. And so that was something that it was really hard for me to leave a company like that because it was safe, but I knew I had to get out of my comfort zone. I knew I needed to grow somewhere else and really make an impact at a different company. And I definitely didn't foresee starting my own brokerage, but I definitely foresaw that I would start somewhere smaller.
Yeah, so. No, that's awesome. And I've got some more questions. I want to ask you a little bit more about the experience you've had so far. But before we do that, you have quite the fan club. You've got some hype men and women behind you. So we actually got an inside view of of the audience that's watching today that's cheering you on, and we wanted to show that off to the crowd here. The crew that you got behind you, so they made a billboard for you. I mean, you've got people.
Wow.
It's just nuts. People that are just rooting you on today and cheering you on. And I think we even might have a little bit of audio of them cheering you on. I don't know if we can tune into the audio or not about that, but pretty crazy what's happening with all that. So yeah, pretty cool. Oh, there they are. Yeah, very cool. So talk a little bit about about the value of the people that are around you. Like you said, you've never really hired people before or built a team before, and now you're doing that. Talk a little bit about what you've learned and the value of putting really good people around you, especially to fill in maybe in those areas that are not necessarily your strengths.
Yeah, that's one reason why I stay in this industry is for the people. I was at Robinson for that long because of the people. They became, good friends that I'm still friends with today, mentors of mine. And so when I started this, I knew I needed to start and with a really solid operations team, because execution is everything. I mean, you're not a good solid brokerage if you don't have the execution to back you up. And so I did hire some people with some great experience from C.H. Robinson. The culture that I'm trying to create is one that, I wanted to make sure I was hiring the right personalities that all kind of meshed in our office and got along and had, similar goals as mine is wanting to make an impact. So the people that I brought on felt kind of similar to me, where they were at this big corporation and just felt like just a number, and they wanted to make an impact. And so hiring people with some experience to help me build these processes. Obviously, I can't do this by myself. I'm only as good as the people around me and the team that I'm building around me. So that was very important to me, and I was very intentional about who I was hiring. And so I've got, some great knowledgeable people in my operations, carrier sales, and then in sales has been the big one that has been a challenge, which I didn't foresee being such a challenge, where I went through some cycles of very experienced people coming in and not really working out for various reasons. And then, 2 months ago, I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to scratch it, and I'm going to hire a group of people who maybe don't have any experience in logistics, but they're coachable. They want to work hard. They've got great work ethic. They're putting in the time that it takes and putting in the activity that it takes to set up meetings. And so I did that. And it's, last 2 months, I've not seen as much opportunity as I've seen this entire year. It's incredible what they're doing. And their personalities are great for what we're trying to do. They're excited to learn. And it's fun to coach them and help, TJ, who we heard from, is helping coach them up. And he's the ultimate hype man. And that's what you need to do in sales too. You got to have that hype man to keep going, because there's some weeks that are just, it's tedious, right? And
TJ has a little energy. He has a little energy. Yeah. From time to time. But, let's just acknowledge the fact that hiring is harder than people admit. It's harder than people think, because you need to balance out their skill set. You need to balance out their personality, their character, their integrity, their core values. You need to balance out their personality type in terms of working with other people. And there's just so many things to figure out there. Where do you tip the scales? It sounds like to me you've tipped the scales less on maybe their experience in the industry or maybe even their skill set, and more on their character. Is that, would you kind of say you've ramped up the dials on character and turned them down a little bit on the other things?
And that's through learning too, right? I mean, it's tough. Like you said, people can interview really well, and then they get into that role and you're like, whoa, what happened? And it's not what you thought. But absolutely, that is you can teach somebody what if they're coachable, but you can't change their character and their values, and who they really are. And so that's incredibly important for me.
I think that's an underestimated character quality, is coachability. Coachability and humility. Somebody who is willing to take feedback or criticism, or to be taught something. It's hard to admit that you don't know something. But I think the most successful people in life are the ones who aren't afraid to admit they don't know things, and to ask questions, and to truly be coachable. I always think of people like Kobe Bryant, Tom Brady, some of the best, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. All of these best of the bests had coaches. They were coachable, even though they were the best at what they did. And I think that is an underestimated quality, that people undervalue, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, it's 15 years in the industry, and there's still a ton for me to learn. And that's what's exciting about it too. There's just so much to learn.
There is. Hayden says hire for the intangibles, train for the industry stuff. I like that. It's good, Hayden. Hayden's coming up with something good. That's good. Scott Watanabe, the freight sensei in the house as well. Will over skill. I like that. That's a good saying. I like that. Very good. All right. So Rebekah, we got to pause for a moment, because every day on the show, we like to celebrate the national day. Like tomorrow is going to be Veterans Day. Every day is a national day. Do you know what today's national day is?
I don't.
You may or may not like this one. All right. You may or may not like this one. It is National Vanilla Cupcake Day. Are you a vanilla cupcake fan?
I am a chocolate girl, but I won't pass up the vanilla cupcake.
Chocolate icing on top. That's really what it is right there. Yeah. So I'm with you. I definitely prefer chocolate, but as long as the vanilla has some chocolate on it, I can manage it. Unless if it's wedding cake vanilla, now that's a whole different ballgame. That's I could have that without chocolate icing all day. But yeah, so it's National Vanilla Cupcake Day, everybody. Go out there and grab a cupcake from your local bakery and enjoy celebrating that. Also, Rebekah, we have our random question of the day. Now, listen, this question is so random. I've never seen it before. We let our podcast director, Ruth, come up with this every day. Sometimes the questions are funny. Sometimes they're serious. Sometimes they're good questions. Sometimes, not so great. But let's see what today's question is. What do we got on the docket today? The random question is, what board game are you unbeatable at? Are you a board game player? I know you're competitive. Are you a board game player?
So, yes. But what thing came to mind immediately was Mario Kart. It's not a board game, but a video game that I got pretty serious with. I am the baby of 7. I've got 5 older brothers.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so I had a brother who, was good at everything, and
TJ hate those types.
always showing me up. I know.
TJ thinks that's him, but that's not him. He's not that. Anyways, keep going.
So, he was always good at everything, always the best at everything. And so growing up, we would play Mario Kart, and I got so good that I started feeding him. And so that was like my biggest thing. And some of my closest friends will laugh if they hear this, because they're just like, yeah, you're a psycho when it comes to Mario Kart. And now I've gotten my kids into it. And actually my 8-year-old, I will say, has gotten really good and has beat me a couple times. But
this is something that we should have, I think, at a conference at some point. We should have a Mario Kart tournament. I mean, that just sounds like an amazing event. And if that's the case, I have a feeling that you're going to be at least involved. I don't know how, we'll see how far you go, but that could be quite the tournament to have a little Mario Kart competition. Listen, if you're out there and you're putting on a conference, Mario Kart tournament off the side could be a game changer, everybody. Absolute game changer. So I'm going to give you that Mario Kart board game. For me, I don't know that I am unbeatable at really any board games. I love to play them, but I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm unbeatable at any of them. I'm pretty good at card games. I like card games, but not so much board games. So anyways, all right. Okay. Enough of that. Back to the good stuff. And that was a good question, by the way. That was a good question, Ruth. Nice job. Well done. All right. So next question is okay. So you're talking. So we're in this kind of moment in the economy where people are laying people off right now. I think people may be overextending themselves a little bit, or maybe they're using this downturn as an excuse, maybe to kind of thin the herd a little bit. How do you look at that from a startup position in the sense of, are you concerned about the future? I know you said you're pretty excited about 2023 moving forward. How do you look at it from the standpoint of identifying and maybe bringing on great talent? What's the focus here moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, bringing in new business is the focus, right? So that I can hire the good talent to help support us. I mean, I think the focus this end of the year here was sales. Let's bring in some business. Let's get this thing going in the right direction. And then as we build that, you look for that good talent in certain areas, pricing analysts and things like that can really, technology is going to be a big player for us as we grow. But I think the focus just has to be the sales and bringing in new business, and then we'll go from there.
I saw Chad Olson today online of AVRL. He put a comment that said that if you're going to be a successful CEO, you have to be good at sales. Like it's a non-negotiable. I think there's a lot of truth in that. And can we just admit that this is hard? This is the chicken or the egg conversation of like, you want to get new business, but then you want to make sure you can service that business when you get it. And then so it's just hard. It's just hard, people. Business is hard. Anybody who wants to be a CEO, just keep this in mind. It's very hard. But it's important. It's very important. So no, I love that. I love that they're focused on sales. And again, your sales experience obviously is going to help out tremendously with that. Having a team now to help out with that. It's an interesting journey. I would love for you to come back. I mean, we're already at 30 minutes. This is crazy. I would love for you to come back and give us an update, maybe like in Q1 or Q2 of 2023 of how things are going and how you guys continue to grow, and appreciate your experience so much and your willingness to share. It's just been great having you on the show. So hopefully you'll come back and see us soon.
Yeah, it's been fun. I definitely will.
Goes quick, everybody. Make sure you come back tomorrow, especially if you want to hear about what it's like to do sales and marketing on a college campus, as my athletic director from my alma mater, Tom Eisenhower, is going to join us on the show tomorrow. And it's Friday. So remember, it's Finish Strong Friday. Make sure what you do tomorrow, you get after it, finish the week off really strong. And it also means that we have episode 132 of Word on the Street tomorrow at noon with Gabe Pankinen of Rocket Shipping. You don't want to miss that show. Got a lot of good things coming up, everybody. So have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for being in the comments. And we will talk to you soon. Rebekah, thanks so much. We'll see you.
Thank you.